Would you like to know this fly in depth? All about biot, peacock, and CDC that's connected to this fly? If you want, in that case, stay with me and I'll go in depth about these three materials and how to tie this fly. Maybe not the easiest way, but most pleasing way. Now, first of all, let's talk about hook. For the hook, you can literally use any hook you want, as long as it's a dry fly hook, because you need a relatively light hook that can be supported by a little bit of CDC fluff over here. That's all. So in this case, it's a clean hammer hook by Daiichi, and the model is 1160. I'll just show you that a little bit better. So it's 1160, size 14, curved. Now, when it comes to thread, on this one I've been using Unithread in 72 denier red, but there is a better solution to this. The red one looks great, but the one that's gonna hold everything a little bit better and that will allow you even, like, not even, but thinner body than this and easier tie off is definitely Semperfli Nanosilk in 30 denier. Obviously you don't have to use Semperfli Nanosilk, but any kind of thin GSP is great for this solution, for this fly. Now, I will also go with my thread just for the beginning. I'll go through the beeswax to wax it and increase friction over here. That's one. Now, after thread, we have biot. Biot, it has kind of shape to it. It's elongated, triangular shape, and there is kind of a ridge on one end. That ridge gives us those little segments here, and if you want without it, just you need to flip the biot on the other side. On straight shank hooks, you don't have to pay attention of cutting the biot lengthwise, but on the curved shank hooks, you need to cut it lengthwise. Otherwise, unless you make some taper as an underbody, the biot will fold and it will buckle and it will do some weird stuff on the hook. It will not lay tight against the hook shank. And that is important if you want to make a durable fly, because if it lays tight against the shank, the glue that's going to be underneath can stick to it and hold everything nicely together. Turkey biot is most available, so I guess that's what most people will use, but you can use peacock biots. Here I have peacock feather, and from this side I have some peacock biot, and it's pretty large, even larger, longer than the turkey biot I have. But as you can see, it's almost white from one side, grayish white, and it has a nice line. Turkey, wild turkey, anything will work. Goose is too short for this application. When it comes to peacock, first let's notice the barb. The barb is kind of hackle-like, and this hackle-like part, it has some pithy center and barbules extending sideways. Now this pithy center is relatively flat, which allows those barbules to extend perpendicular to it and perpendicular to the hook shank. Now, if you will notice, the barbules from one side are different length from another side, meaning if you choose right or left barb from the peacock's feather, from right or left side, it's not the same, because if you're wrapping in the same direction, left and right barb, the different barbules will show itself. If you wrap from the left side, then those longer will show. If you wrap from the right side, then those shorter ones will show. And this applies if you're a right-handed tyer and you wrap the barb, peacock barb, conventional way, in the same way you're wrapping your thread, meaning from under towards you and over the hook. that's the direction. If you look from the front, it's clockwise direction. Now, to wrap this, you will also have to notice that peacock barb has some cupping on it, and you can cup everything towards the back or towards the eye. If you cup everything towards the eye, obviously those barbules will be in your way when you tie off your fly. You have to manipulate them with your hands. If you want to cup everything back, then your tie-off will be much cleaner and easier. Now, when it comes to CDC, there are a couple of shapes, but my favorite shape is this triangular shape, as you can see it on the photo. And more barbs CDC you have, the more buoyant it is. More barbs plus more barbules. This will create some surface tension and it will hold your fly better on the surface. That's how it works. Now, after we discussed a little bit of these materials, let's just jump into tying and tie this fly. So let's start with debarbing the hook. I do that in my vise. Almost never do it underwater. And before I start tying, I like to run my thread through the beeswax, because GSP is slippery, and this way you're kind of increasing friction between thread and the hook, so it catches up onto the hook much easier. As you will notice, I'm running the thread all the way, all over the hook shank from the eye until the tying point for the biot, and this will actually also increase a little bit of friction between materials. So instead of tying material to the slippery hook directly, I'm doing not the opposite, but the other way, where I actually tie material between two layers of thread. Now, as you can see here, the biot is kind of triangular shape, and what I want to do is I want to cut it lengthwise, and cutting it lengthwise decreases its width, obviously, and because of that I have more I'm able to align it more, to tie it better to the hook. It will lay tighter against the hook. Now counter spin the bobbin holder, well, spin the bobbin holder counterclockwise, so the thread jumps into your left hand, and then with flat thread, that's very important, form the underbody. Now the reason why I'm forming kind of underbody here, tapered one, is rather simple, because if I start wrapping without any kind of underbody on the curved, very thin hook, it will fold. The biot kind of will fold. It will not lay tight against the hook. Literally, these things will happen. Like it will be a little bit up here, and there will be some air gaps where glue won't stick to the material. And to prevent that, obviously I need to make this more narrow, and then I have more tight connection between biot and the hook, which improves the durability of the fly. Now flat thread makes much easier, it's much easier for you to create underbody with flat thread, because it's smoother, and smooth underbody will actually also adhere more to the biot and to the hook, so it makes better connection. Now, counter spin the bobbin holder from time to time to allow the thread to kind of flatten a little bit more. I mean, I'm not making any abrupt taper here, no steep taper. Spinning the bobbin holder from time to time, and here also you need a taper, this part. Anyway, my favorite super glue, Loctite Super Gel, Ultra Gel Control, amazing stuff because of the package. Before, like, you squeeze those blue buttons, and you will see if you squeeze them nicely, slowly, it will come out very, very nicely. And then you can apply this super glue to the body. You don't have much, you don't need much actually. And also when you release those buttons, the super glue soaks back in, which is amazing. Hackle pliers, these are Cottarelli. Rather expensive product, but I love them. They're pretty good. I'm not saying that they're like making my life much more easier, but they're not. But still, they're very nice to use and very beautiful design. Now, overlap biot to create those segments. And you saw that I didn't distribute the super glue super evenly, because super glue will distribute itself as I wrap biot. Biot will literally push the super glue around. Now this bend was critical. If over the bend that you wrap the biot, it can create that fold that I was talking about earlier. Otherwise, on the straight shank hook, it won't happen. Okay, this is it. I'll just hold it here with the thread, make one more wrap, and now just gonna cut it parallel, and then again, flat thread is your friend. Try to make a nice taper here. Okay, perfect. We got our body here. Now it's time for CDC. And for CDC, I plucked some CDC that looks almost like grizzly from my friend's ducks. Amazing stuff. A lot of barbs and barbules. And it's also very visible, which I really appreciate. Nothing worse than invisible CDC. Okay, now bring those barbs back. You just want to, that's why I like triangular shape. You want to align all those barbs towards the tips to use most of them. And then when I put my feather near the eye and I want kind of folded, I want it to be almost the same or longer than the hook. So let me just show you that. So now I'll align everything, and when I bend it, it's perfect. Now I'm transferring this part that I'm holding here, I'm transferring it to the tine point. Counterspin the bobbin holder, and then 1, 2, very loose wraps, and then tighten. 1, 2, tighten, because GSP allows you to do that. You don't need more. Now cut it by an angle. Try to do that so you can see it. I'm cutting it by an angle to create taper. It's easier when I do it without camera. Okay. Now with flat thread, I want to cover everything here. I want to make sure that I'm covering the thread on the biot, visible thread on the biot here. And then I'm going forward. And as you will see, as you can see, I have that very nice taper here. That's going to make everything easier when I'm tying the peacock barb now. Now for the peacock barb, I was saying that I'm using the left one, and this one is just below the eye, just below the eye. It's not the actual eye of the peacock here. And I'm going to shiny side towards the eye of the hook. Now counterspin the bobbin holder, catch the very tip of the barb, and pull it out. I'm literally stripping those barbules, something that I picked up from the Wayne Allen's videos. You can find them on Vimeo, or whatever you read that program. Now I'm gonna catch it here. Okay, and then keep the tension, transfer the thread back, and that's it, I think. Let me just, those short barbs that we don't need, they won't do anything good. Now wrap it as a hackle. I was saying that it reminds of a hackle, so wrap it as one. and you will see that cupping goes backwards. That's the beautiful part. This is already 3 reps, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and let's go 17. And catch it here. Now what I want to do is I want to see if I covered everything. I didn't, so I'll just go try to cover everything a little bit better. This very tip here that I'm using is the most sensitive part of the feather, of the barb. Okay, let me see if I did it right. Okay, now it looks good. So I have 17, 18, I forgot the number. Instead of cutting it like this, you can just go over it and push, and that's it. Now I'm gonna counter spin the bobbin holder, and then just to cord the thread to make it round, which in turn will hopefully trap less of these barbules. I don't want to trap those barbules because this thorax looks amazing. Now I need to make like 17 or whatever. Oops, too much. Okay. I made a little mistake by the end, but it's okay. Now, take the feather, preen it a little bit more to control it. Going back with my fingers here. Okay. A little bit away from the eye. Now use your nails to catch the eye. Okay. So your thread goes behind the eye. You don't crowd the eye. Now pull it up and pull the thread back a little bit, and this will kind of position everything where it's supposed to be, and that's it. Now all we need to do is to form a whip finish knot or knot. Catch those barbs a little bit. That's one. I know I'm sometimes doing overkill with this, but never mind. And that's 2. Perfect. Cut. Okay, let me show you that. Make some tension on the hook. See, I'm bending the hook, and then just press with your scissors, and bye-bye. We have our beautiful merger done. Don't cut those here. They just add to bugginess of this fly. So guys, I hope you like this fly. Hope you learned something new. If you did, if you like it, please consider sharing, subscribing. It helps the channel grow. And until next time, keep safe and tight lines.